Move to some NFL here, Jay Hill. I'll let you do a little heavy lifting, but I can make the case that the Saints can win this division again. They've owned it for the last half decade. They swept it last year, and I'm not telling. I mean, look, we're pumping sunshine. It's the preseason. We thought it looked good against the Jags, but is there any chance they can win the division?
Yeah, hey, there's a chance. I mean, there's always a chance, but to the way I look at it is, would I lay some money down on that? I would probably say no. Obviously, if something happens to Tom Brady, then that division is just wide open. But if 12 is back there for the Bucs, that's who I lay my $100 down on. And I think the Saints have so many issues that they need to get figured out going into the season. I'm not confident in how they're going to address those: defensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver. If the younger guys step up, then yeah, they'll be right in it because they do have other guys on that roster. They do have a talented roster. You look at that offensive line, you look at Kamara, you look at some of the guys they have on that defense. They do still have talent on that roster, but to say that they're better than the Bucs or they're going to win more games than the Bucs this season, I think that's a heavy task.
So we'll start at the bottom of the division. Pretty easy. The Falcons last year were a 4-12 team, and you look at their roster for this year. You know, they bring in Kyle Pitts, but Julio's out the door. And, you know, you figure that's another weapon for Matt Ryan. Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage is making some plays. But they are what they were last year. Alex Mack's out the door. Do I see them making a jump from 4 wins to 12 to go 13 wins this year? I don't scare the Falcons don't scare me at all. So is there any reason to believe in the Falcons?
No, I don't think so. I mean, unless their defense, I honestly think their offense is going to be decent with Matt Ryan back there. They're going to be throwing the ball an awful lot. They're going to be, probably behind in a lot of games. I think their offense can score some points. You add Kyle Pitts, my boy Russell Gage, Redemptress alum out there, going to have a breakout season. But I think their question is their defense. If their defense can get stops, I think they can be competitive.
Yeah, well, they allowed 400 yards a game last year for 29th in the league. So I think we can rule out that the Falcons are a serious threat for this division. Then you start with the Panthers. That's a 5-11 team from last year. They bring in Darnold, and McCaffrey's back, which clearly is going to help them. But I don't see the huge jump they're going to make here unless you think that Sam Darnold's going to come in there with Joe Brady and start slinging around. The wide receiver core is very good. Yeah. I'll give them that. And McCaffrey can play, so maybe they score some points. But the defense, again, was lower half of the league last year. And I don't know that that's going to be an awesome football team.
Yeah, when you lose Luke Kuechly, and it seems like they haven't replaced that yet, and their defense hasn't looked the same since he left there. So I think they got to figure that out for sure. I know they got my boy Dante Jackson back there picking plays off and making plays. Hopefully Terrace Marshall can do the same next season. But, yeah, I'm right with you on the Panthers right now. I don't think they're going to make any noise in that division.
So then you get to the Bucs, and that's clearly the Super Bowl champs. But just 11-5 last year. It wasn't like you're talking about a 15-1 team that blitzed in a wild card last year. Yeah. Took a while for Brady to click with those guys. We know that. But we also know, and no matter what, he is 42, 3 years old. We've seen a 40-plus-year-old quarterback in New Orleans the last 2 years, and what happened? He missed time. And Sean Payton found a way to go to Teddy Bridgewater, to go to Taysom Hill, and keep the thing afloat and win the division. Do you believe Blaine Gabbert has that ability?
It depends on who they're playing. If they're playing the Falcons, yeah. If they're playing the Panthers, yeah. I think there are certain teams, because to me, that's probably the most stacked roster in all of football. They got so much talent on both sides of the ball. They're deep at receiver, deep at tight end, deep at running back, deep on the defensive line. They got defensive backs. I mean, you really – I try to look for concerns. You really can't find much with the Bucs. Really just staying healthy. If they stay healthy, that team is going to win a lot of football games this year. So with them, I think that's what it's going to boil down to. And I think the way they ended the season last year, they went on a tear. And I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Brady gets all the pub because he's Brady, and we get that. But the strength of that team is really the defensive front. And it's the reason they beat the Chiefs is because they just terrorized Mahomes and Kansas City's poor offensive line, which they've shored up. Couldn't hold them, couldn't deal with them. Well, the Saints are the best offensive line in the league, and they beat the Bucs twice, and it wasn't like they got dusted in the playoffs. It's fair to believe that the Saints could beat the Bucs at home. Fair to believe they could go out there and win. Now you're going to have to get Jameis playing at a top 10, top 12 quarterback in the league, probably, to make this happen. But statistically, we know the stats, the 30 touchdowns, the 5,000 yards, all that if you limit mistakes and create some things with the playmakers that he's going to have, assuming Thomas comes back and can function, I think they can play with the Bucs.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a division opponent. They played them well year in and year out. It's a lot of the same guys returning. I will not disagree with that. But if you ask me to pick the division winner, I still feel good in the Bucs. But the Saints are definitely going to be competitive. That offensive line is too stacked. Love what they're doing on the defensive end. But the Bucs have so many receivers. With these lack of defensive backs right now, something tells me Tom's going to be throwing that ball all over the yard.
You look at the schedule, and the Saints and Bucs don't play their first game until Halloween. That's in New Orleans, and then they play again in December. Pretty reasonable to believe that Matt Lattimore would be back by Halloween?
Yeah, I think so.
He's owned Evans.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal when you're facing that Bucs offense. You know, I'm just trying to make the case.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make the case.
I'm with you.
It's been a situation where the beginning of camp was terrible, and there were injuries and suspensions and things just weren't working out. But it looks like some guys have kind of come on and made some waves. Again, we may find out when the Saints start 0-3 that some of these guys that are making waves against the Jags in preseason or making plays in practice can't really do it. But I think the notion that the Saints are an under 500 team and the Bucs are going to run away with the division is plausible, but I don't know if it's probable at this point.
Yeah, I think it's going to go down to Jameis taking care of the ball. I like their defense. They play fast. They play aggressive. It's going to be tough with New Orleans back with those full pack crowds and making that noise and really making that home field advantage. I think the Saints are going to be better than you think. But I'll tell you one thing. If Jameis can take care of that ball, he looked really good. I think they can win a lot more games than people think.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. This is difficult. You try not to do this in radio, but we have not rehearsed this. Going into the season, all things considered, that includes age as one of them, how many quarterbacks would you take over Tom Brady entering this season? Mahomes?
Man, this is going to sound so Homer-based, but with the roster he has, I'm not taking no one over Tommy right now. I'm not taking anyone. And I think everyone say Mahomes can throw it farther, Rodgers can do this. But to me, you said it the other day, the best decision-making is the best thing a quarterback has to offer. And Tom, there's no one better at making decisions than I do. He knows exactly where to go with the ball. And then you give him a stacked roster with position out. You go O.J. Howard, Rob Gronkowski. You got Mike Evans, A.B., Chris Godwin. Now you bring in Giovanni Bernard. Now you got Leonard Fournette. Playoff Lenny. Come on, man. And his offensive line is stacked. So give him that situation. I don't want any other quarterback with that but Tom Brady.
You're hurting my case. It's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, if you put Mahomes in that offense or Rodgers in that offense, they're going to probably do similar things. But to me, Tom's clicking on another level right now. He sees some things that can be unattainable, and I know he wants to accomplish those. So I'm going to roll with Tommy B, man.
Well, Saints fans, I really tried. I gave you everything I had, and Jeremy just said, no, their offense is too good. Their quarterback's the best in the league. Their defense is awesome, and the Saints can't win. You heard it here first. Jeremy said you can't win.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. But look, I'm telling y'all, the Bucs are not to be played with this season.